presentation is called Don't You Know It's Fake? A Beginner's Guide to Kayfabe. So, if anybody's a wrestling fan, they know what that means, but I assume most of you probably are not. So, let's begin. So, hang on. So, a brief introduction for myself. Again, my name is Ashley Leckwold. I am a writer by trade, so I've written for, specifically about wrestling for Pace Magazine, Pro Wrestling Sheet, and Daily DDT. But still, even though I've been into wrestling for about 4 years, I still get asked a lot of the time, oh, don't you know that's fake? And there's supposed to be like an image here of like from The Simpsons of like local man thinks wrestling is real. And so I get asked this a lot, and it's really fucking annoying. So I'm here to talk about the weird sacred art of kayfabe, basically explaining, yes, why we know it's fake. Mostly because I could. Love you, Drew Gulak. So, a few basics first. So, wrestling is basically live theater, and if you've ever, taken a theater class or been in a theatrical production, you probably know this term of willing suspension of disbelief. And that was popularized by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous here. That you kind of, when you're going into theater or watch a movie, you accept that what is happening is real for whatever time period you're there. Like, take Hamilton, for example. Like, we know that, like, everybody in that time period, like, Alexander Hamilton was not Lin-Manuel Miranda, or, like, that anybody was, yeah. But you accept it when you're watching Hamilton, because that is the, when you walk in the theater, that's what you accept is happening. Especially for that time period, it's like, you're watching it. So, wrestling is basically that suspension of disbelief on steroids. So wrestling is theater in the round. It has its own device known as kayfabe. Now, origins of this term are unknown. Like, some people believe it's like a Pig Latin term for like saying fake, or some say it is based off of an Eastern European term called get cavey. But since a lot of early wrestlers had such heavy Eastern European accents, it sounded like kayfabe. But Oxford Dictionary, yes, the term is in the Oxford Dictionary, defines it as fact or convention of presenting a stage performance as genuine and authentic. Basically, what you see on like TV, like Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, NXT, anything like that, and I'm mostly using WWE as examples here. This applies to any wrestling you'll see across the board. Basically, what you see on a TV show or in the ring, media pertaining to wrestling, is presented as real. So, example here, this is my favorite wrestler, his name is Finn Balor. So basically, Finn's storyline is that he fought a demon and literally gained his powers. And we accept that this is true about Finn. But here, this is me meeting Finn at WrestleMania this year, or as his real name is, Fergal Devitt. He's a very sweet guy. I love this man so much. And you see me here dressed up as the demon. So, again, we accept that's true, but we also know that it's not. Okay, but why the act? Carnies. These are actually my friends here. They are a tag team known as the Carnies. That's Nick and that's Carrie on this side here. They're actually sweet boys. Little less carny than you would think. But basically, wrestling started as a carnival sideshow act. And since they wanted to have people come in and watch the sideshow, they had to basically convince people, or marks, to pay for that. So, and that's sort of how the origins of wrestling started, is that you had people in the audience who believed absolutely that this was an actual fight going on, but everyone backstage knew that it was staged. And so this continued as wrestling grew, is that like, when they start going to like Madison Square Garden or having various territories across the country, they still presented it as absolutely 100% real, that you are going to see, when you're going to see a wrestling show, you're seeing actual fights. But everyone backstage knew, until... Thank you, Vince McMahon, because in 1989, Vince McMahon testified in front of the New Jersey State Senate and to convince that wrestling was not a competitive sport. He mostly did this to avoid interference from the state's athletic commission, so he wouldn't get taxed and didn't have to have medical personnel on site. This is starting a very long tradition of the McMahons finding legal loopholes. Like, did you know every WWE performer is classified as an independent contractor? Not an employee. Yeah, I love dropping that fact on you. Healthcare. Yeah, healthcare. What's that? So while the death of kayfabe is often debated, like death, I say that's in scare quotes, this was the first time that wrestling was really acknowledged that it was artifice and not, and so and it was an open secret in the sense that it was, some people knew, some people were in the know, but otherwise this is the first time somebody's actually said, yeah, what we're doing is performance, not sport. And I'm sorry for what I'm about to show you. This is Vince McMahon. He's a terrifying old man.
How old is that photo?
This is about, I think, last year, 2 years ago.
My
So, yeah, basically, if I had to see this photo of Vince McMahon, so do you. Okay, so, moving on to the next one. But, since '89, Kayfabe has taken some serious blows between an incident known as the Montreal Screwjob, which was an unplanned incident where Bret Hart may have gotten screwed out of his title before he left the company, and a Madison Square Garden curtain call, and some other big-name deaths like Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. But as wrestling finds and lives popularity resurgence in the past several years, Kayfabe has found ways to evolve. More audiences treat it as a soap opera instead of an actual fight, including myself, and oftentimes wrestlers are playing their characters on social media, and oftentimes things that are real, actually real, get incorporated into, yeah, I got you. Get incorporated into the reality of the show. This is known as a work shoot. Work being what is already booked, shoot being what is real. So, some latest examples of that is CM Punk's Pipe Bomb promo and Nia Jax. This is actually Nia Jax's fist, and this is Becky Lynch. Before Survivor Series, Nia Jax accidentally punched Becky in the face during a takeover and caused Becky a legitimate concussion and black eye. So, in storyline, I don't know if this is well recommended, Nia Jax has been promoting herself as the face breaker and kind of just being a monster heel about it. I, again, don't know if that's a good idea, but I'm not Vince McMahon. But my favorite example of work shoot is Total Divas, which is a show on the E! Network that features women who actually wrestle for WWE, basically in a reality show similar to Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It gets people into wrestling, so I can't knock it. But in conclusion, yes, I know it's fake, but so is Game of Thrones, you mark.
Did Donald Trump really punch that guy?
I don't know about that, but he did actually believe Vince McMahon died in storyline at one point.